Hey guys, me Dave. It's 20. It's 5/25, 2020, Memorial Day, and it's Monday. So I thought I would do a little video tonight. I'm having a couple beers tonight just because it's Memorial Day, so I'm kind of chilling out, trying to relax. Hopefully I can get to sleep tonight. I don't know, but hopefully I can. So I want to talk about some things tonight that I talk about my own program. This happened 4 years ago. I was telling my family member about this. She seemed shocked. I don't think my family members realized I was being tortured in the hospital. Now I realize that. So I was telling my family member part of when I was in the emergency room. Like I said on the last video, these guys have so much power. When you're dealing with these agencies, I don't know which agency it is, but they have a lot of power. They can take over a hospital. They can take over an emergency. Oh, excuse me. They can take over an emergency room. If you're a big target, if you're a huge target, they will do that. Some TIs might not believe that, and they might try to discredit me a little bit and say I'm out there and all this stuff. Which I think is horseshit. If some TIs are like that, but I'm telling the truth here. I know what's going on. They let me know what's going on in my program and stuff like that. So anyway, when I was in the emergency room, they pretty much took over the emergency room, and they were doing, I know it's hard to believe, but they were doing these chemicals in the emergency room, in the room. I was in this room with a glass door, and they shut the door and they wanted me to get these chemicals. God's honest truth, I swear to God this happened. And it's not magic, you guys. It's not magic. All they do is feed a tube into the room I'm in and shoot chemicals in there. That's all they do. It's not magic. It's government chemicals, that induce certain behaviors with these chemicals. They enhance certain behaviors with these chemicals. And I tried looking them up before. You can't find them anywhere, on the internet or anything like that. But okay, Dr. Hall talks about the chemicals. Okay, this is the real shit here. They do use chemicals to induce certain behaviors and enhance certain behaviors and stuff like that. Okay, so they were doing the chemicals in the hospital. They took over the emergency room, and they were doing chemicals. And I'm like, I opened up the door. I'm like, I'm not staying in here. I don't, they're putting chemicals in here and all this stuff. And then they hit me with rage. And I threatened to knock out a nurse, a male nurse. It wasn't a girl. It was a guy. I threatened to knock him out. And then they laid off me. But they hit me so bad I was almost raising my hand up in a fist. They can make you do things like that. They can bring out all these bad behaviors in you. They really can. So I threatened this nurse, a male nurse, and then they took it down and I was back to normal. And then they put me in the room and they were interviewing me and all this stuff. And then they said, well, we got to move you over to this place. They moved me over. It was just a few feet. And it was like a locked in section with a security guard in there. Okay, so I went in this locked area. They locked me in there. It was like a little jail, locked me in there, and they had a security guard in there the whole time. I was the only one in there, and they gave me some medications. I took some medications because I thought it was Ativan, to settle down. So there was one big pill There was one big pill, and then there was a little pill, and I took them both. I was thinking, what are these? I just took them, and then I was knocked out for like 2 days. I was knocked out from Saturday until Monday evening. I was knocked out, and then they brought me over to the psych ward. You know, um, my point of this is that I was telling my family member about this. She couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe they did this to me. She's a perp. She's part of this program. She's helping these guys validate their technology and all that stuff. She's not mean to me. She actually supports me. You know, they will do some strange things, like I'll be thinking of something like, oh, I wish I had things to make taco salad or something. I wish I had some lettuce and tomatoes. She will go to the, she'll come home and bring lettuce and tomatoes. They do that to prove that they're reading my thoughts. So she helps them out in that sense. Okay, go get some lettuce and tomatoes and bring them home. you know, because I was thinking about that. So I will be thinking about something and she will do it. It's unreal. They're reading your thoughts in real time. They know what you're thinking and all this stuff. But I was telling her about when I was in the psych ward. I was like, I was tortured to hell in that psych ward. There were all the patients were perps. Some of the staff were involved, and they had some real staff there. And I was tortured to hell. They were trying to get me to fight other patients. The other patients were calling me names. They were, some of them had ESP. They were, this one guy was watching TV and I was eating or something, and they were doing like forced speech almost. And they were doing, I was calling this guy all these names, and in real time, he was answering my thoughts. He was like, "Oh yeah, I know, I'm this, I'm that, all this stuff." He had ESP. He was reading my thoughts in real time. I know a lot of TIs don't believe this, and don't discredit me for that. Some people are like, "Oh, don't listen to this guy." Oh. This is the real deal if you just wake up and see it. I'm telling the truth here. This technology is advanced so much, you don't even know. So, they were trying to get me, they had fake patients in there. It was a fake psych ward. All they did was take over an empty floor of the psych ward. That's it. It's not magic. They took over an empty floor of the hospital. That's all they did. And then they called in all their gang stalkers to be patients. That's all they did. It's not magic. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do this stuff, to figure this out. They let me know it's all fake. So some of my torturers were in there and all that stuff. I've seen my perps. I've seen these guys. They look like ex-FBI agents. Some of them are big bodybuilding guys that you wouldn't want to screw with anything. They look like ex-FBI guys. Ex-CIA guys. Big guys, huge. Bodybuilding guys. You wouldn't want to mess with them. They look like CIA. They look like FBI guys, involved in my program, It's unreal, So anyway, I went through all that stuff, and I was explaining to my family member some of this stuff, and she's like, her mouth dropped open. She couldn't believe I went through that. So my family is being lied to. They're being lied to. They don't know I'm being tortured, obviously. They're being lied to. They're involved, but they're being lied to. You know, it's a big web of lies and deception. You know, these gang stalkers that are around, they're being lied to. They're being, if you believe their bullshit, you're an idiot. You know, they're being lied to. You know, all these gang stalkers are being lied to. The in-person harassment, in-person harassers are being lied to. You know, they just think you're just a big piece of shit. Yeah, I'm just a big piece of shit. They're shoving $12 million into me in the last 6 years. I'm just a big nothing. Well, I must be something if they keep on plugging money into me. I'm worth more than you are, you know? So these people are stupid and ignorant and they believe everything, you know? But then they walk on eggshells. You know why? Because they don't want to be next. If you're next, they're going to ruin you, and they will ruin you in a heartbeat. If you cross these people, they'll take you out. You know, they will ruin you and stuff. So anyway, it kind of got off track there, but I was telling my family member about being tortured and being locked in this section of the hospital. It's for people that are angry or whatever. I don't know what it is, but they locked me in there with the security guard, and they knocked me out for 2 days, and then they brought me to the psych ward. And then they took it easy on me for a couple weeks, and then the harassment started. I had a nice room. It was a brand new room, and they sent me down to this other room, and I was getting harassed nonstop. They were slamming doors. They had this guy in there. You could tell he was in jail a few times because he thinks he's the pod boss. He thinks he's king shit, and he wants to harass you and call you names and try to get you to fight and all this stuff. And then they were saying on V2K, they were like, don't risk getting hurt. They were saying on V2K, don't risk getting hurt, in fighting this guy or getting into it with these people, because, I imagine if I really did get hurt, I would imagine it wouldn't be good for them if I really did get hurt, but they try to provoke you. The whole thing was provoking. You get all these scumbag gang stalkers in there. They try to provoke you, and they call you names, and they're doing this against you, and all this stuff, and saying all this stuff against you. Trying to provoke you the whole time in the psych ward. It was all set up. All they did was call in their gang stalkers and pretend they were patients. It's not magic. That's all they did. And they did this for 5 weeks. It was unreal. They had, I don't know, probably anywhere from 15 to 20 patients in there. They have a network of people. They can call in and pretend they're patients and all this stuff. They all went home at night. I got up at nighttime to get something to drink and all this stuff. They all went home at night. The place was empty at night. They all went home. And then they would show up in the morning when we'd have breakfast. I knew what was going on. It was just unreal. So, kind of going back to Todd Giffen, he's a big target. They're going to have the corrections officers involved. They're going to have the lawyers involved. They're going to have the psychiatrists involved. They're going to have people pretending to be inmates in there. They really do this stuff. Even Todd Giffen said that. There's people working as double agents and all that stuff. They do that. They will do that. I'm kind of confirming what he's saying. They will do that if you're a big target. So anyway, I just thought I would talk about that a little bit. It's kind of went off track there. I'm sorry for that. But this program is, if you're a big target, boy, they will do anything. They will do anything. it has to be controlled. Conversations have to be controlled. Uh, uh, they will do all kinds of different things that have to be controlled, and they gotta validate that technology all the time. You know, um, they will do all kinds of things, but it has to be controlled. Um, if it means moving in people to pretend they're inmates or patients or whatever, and they'll get the correction officers or this or nursing staff, like in my case, involved. They will do that. It's a big operation. They're spending millions and millions of dollars on us for a reason. I don't know what the reason is. Why are we big targets? I don't know. Have we been in this program since we were kids? Probably. You know, I don't know why they're doing all this stuff. I realize they're mapping your brain out, and they're clearing the neural pathways, all that stuff, that Brian too talks about. I understand that, all that stuff. I can't remember half of it, but I do know what he's talking about. So they do all that stuff. It has to be controlled. Your program has to be controlled. They can't have a chaotic conversation. They can't have you randomly just talking to someone. It has to be controlled. It has to be a controlled conversation. A scenario that it has to be set up so you'll respond to their stimuli. It's really unreal. It's a big operation. There's a lot of people involved, and they're spending a lot of money on us. They're spending tons of money on us. They have a blank check. So anyway, I kind of wanted to explain that a little bit. The main purpose of this video is, I don't think my family realized I was being tortured, and I kind of mentioned it tonight, and they were shocked. I don't think they realized what's going on and how bad I was being tortured. Any of the times that I was in the psych ward, the first time I was sleep deprived for 10 days. They let me sleep one night. They were drugging me up and all this stuff. They gave me all these medications and all this stuff. And I was hit super, super, super bad. It was really bad torture. Some people just don't believe that, and they shouldn't discredit me for that. If they don't believe what's going on, that's their problem. But a number of us have explained what's going on. You're in the psych ward, and nurses are showing pictures of you and all this stuff. There's several of us. There's 4 or 5 of us that have talked about this stuff. And other TIs shouldn't discredit us because we're big targets. We're huge targets. And they got a blank check. And it's a big, huge operation. And that's the truth of it. So anyway, I'm going to cut this off, you guys. I hope you're doing well out there and staying safe. And I will talk to you guys later.